Hey guys, it's Bear with the Gimpy Camper. So today we're going to talk about how to do a propane drop down test to make sure you don't have any propane leaks on your camper. The camper that I have is a 2019 29 RKS that's a Cougar. So it's got a Furrion stove. The Furrion stove has a test port, and I'm going to show you how to hook that up right now. Alright, so I have a Furrion stove here. We're going to take the top off. Take it, just pull it up like this, it'll come right off. Now a lot of stoves you have to remove this and hook the manometer up to where the burner comes out here. But these Furrion stoves actually have a test port. So we're going to take this screw out because that's what that is. And then we're going to stick the manometer on there. Alright, so there is gas that's on, so when I take this out, the gas is going to come out, but we're going to put this hose over the top of it. I'm going to set this here so we can see. Take this off. You can hear the gas coming out. We're going to put this right over the top. Alright, so I did the manometer test to test the gas pressure. We hadn't even got to the drop down test yet. But I'm only showing 9, and it's water columns is what we measure this in. Because if you did PSI, it's a lot lower than that. It would be a lot of decimal places. So you want 11 to 14 water columns when you test the pressure. And so we got to figure that out. So maybe it's just having to adjust the regulator, not necessarily replace it. But I talked to Steve over at Shelburne RV. He told me to turn the furnace on because that's going to be the highest draw, and adjust the regulator to that 11 to 14. So we're going to give that a try, see how that works out. I've never adjusted a regulator before, so we're going to learn this together too. All right, so we're going to try to adjust this regulator. From what I can gather, this will unscrew. And then you just adjust it there. All right, so all my screwdrivers are too small to fit in that, all except the Big Daddy. This was actually passed down to my dad from my grandpa, and then my dad to me. So it's good to have a big old screwdriver every now and then. I'm gonna go clockwise 1 revolution, because something that I was watching said that clockwise usually made it go up. So then we'll go in and look and see what our pressure is. So our pressure is now 10. It is in the red there, but we want to make sure it's 10 or 11, really 11. I'm gonna go ahead and turn the furnace on here before I adjust that again, just to get it going. It's hotter than hell in here already, so this is gonna be fun. So, but Mr. Steve says turn the furnace on, so we're turning the furnace on. So we're gonna set it to heat, and then we're going, yeah, it says it's 89 degrees in here right now, so we're gonna turn this up to about, I wonder how high it'll go. We're going to try for something above there. It'll only go to 90. All right, so we better do this quick. Let me go adjust it. We're going to have to turn it up some more. I do think this thing's approaching the end of its life because the diaphragm's making a lot of noise here. But we're done with that 3, so we're going to go 1 more. Oh, that's all the way up. All right, just like with everything else that I do in life, I got more projects to do because that thing's regulated up all the way and it's not getting enough gas. It's loud, the diaphragm sounds like it's getting old in there, and it's just not supplying the recommended pressure. So therefore, I can't really do the pressure drop test all that accurately because they say you really need it to show 11 to 14 before you do the test, but you need to drop it down and burp it down to about 8 with the gas off because that'll relieve some of the back pressure. But if it's not the right pressure to start with, it kind of hinders that test a little bit. I'm not saying that it's not, completely useless, But it's Friday evening. Let's see where we can find a regulator. Okay guys, so future Barrett here. I didn't end up replacing that regulator. I actually had Steve sponsor me one for a video, and there's going to be a video about replacing that regulator coming up soon. But we're going to jump back into this pressure test. So we're going to just drop right back into turning the furnace on and check in the pressure with the propane running. Alright, so we're going to turn the furnace on. Alright, so that's cycling between about 11 and 12 water columns, which is right where we want it. So that should be just fine. We're going to turn the furnace off because it's hot as hell in here. Alright, so we're going to turn the gas off. Alright, so we're going to take a picture of this so we know if it moves at all whenever we're doing the test. But we got one more step first. Your propane line can have a lot of back pressure in it, so they actually want you to drop this down to about 8 and then do the drop test at that point. So I guess we're not ready for a picture yet, I misspoke, but we're going to drop this down to 8. So what can happen is you want to release a little bit of propane at a time just by turning on one of the stove eyes, but they say that the back pressure kind of keeps it from dropping for a minute. It'll drop and it'll pop right back up. I'll show you here. But then it'll reach a point where it just kind of plummets and you don't want to go too far. So just do a little bit at a time. And when we're doing this, we're just releasing a little bit of gas in the camper here, so you got to be careful not have any flames around. See, it's not wanting to drop below that. Lift it on a little bit longer, it goes right back. Leaving it on, turning it off. Still on, turn it off, on. But once you hit that point where it drops, you don't want to drop it too much. And it's hot in here. Starting to drop a little bit. It's taking forever. It goes right back. Oh, there we go. And I may have went too far. Let's see. That's 7.5. It'll be fine. So I'm gonna take a picture right there, and it smells like propane in here. So I had to get out of the camper because it's hot in there, but we're setting the timer for 10 minutes. Like I say, they say you can do 3. I'm doing 10. Go back in 10 minutes and we'll see if the needle's still in the same spot. If it is, that means there's no gas leak anywhere in the whole system. All right, it's been 10 minutes, so let's go and see what the manometer shows here. Still smells a little bit like gas in here, so we're going to give it a while to air out before we turn anything on. All right, I hadn't looked at it either, so we're going to look at it now and we're going to see what it looks like. And it went up a little bit, not down. I guess in that instance, I'm going to burp it down a little bit more and get it back down to about 8. Give it 10 minutes and see what it does. Right, so it immediately started falling whenever I turned it on. I got it down, well, it's 8.5. Let's go down just a touch more, just a little. Right there. So we're gonna hold it right there, come back 10 more minutes. All right guys, so it's went to about 9, it's about 8 3/4. That's 10 more minutes, so I think that we're good to go. No leaks. The last step is we got to disconnect our manometer here and then put the screw in, make sure there's no leaks. All right, so before we turn the gas back on, we're going to pull this off, probably have some hiss through. Yep, oh, my adapter came off. There we go. And then we're going to put the screw back in. I'm actually not going to put it in all the way so I can show you what it looks like if you got a propane leak. I'm going to get it started. Well, that's tight, so we're going to loosen it about there. Well, so we don't get a lot more propane in here, I'm going to tighten it down. I'm going to go turn the gas on, and then I'll be back. This isn't the greatest example, but see how you can see those bubbles coming out from the soapy water? But if I add a little bit more, it'll be a little bit bigger. So that's what you don't want to see to have a leak. And let's use the sniffer to see what that shows right here. So we're going to turn it on, but we got to wait our 30 seconds in order to let it calibrate. And due to TV magic, it's over now. So we got the fan on, kind of getting some of this propane out of here. Smart person would have did that to start with because we knew it was going to be venting a little propane. But I never said I was any good at this, guys. So I'm going to let that run for a second, and then we're going to retest with the sniffer. Okay, so we vented that out for just a couple of minutes. Let's see what it looks like now. It's not showing us anything. And then just for completeness sake, we'll put a little soapy water on it one more time. And no bubbles. So good to go. So guys, there you go. Like I say, I'm not a professional. This is just what I did to my camper. I did get some professional advice from Steve over at Shelburne RV when I did this, but you know, all in all, I'm pretty happy with it. If I would have had a leak, I would have liked to known if the gas stop would have picked it up, but who knows. So like I say, it looked fine on my kind of practice test, and then I didn't have a leak whenever I did the drop down test. But I did have a regulator issue problem, which the gas stop wouldn't help with, obviously. So it's good to do that pressure test with a manometer. I do have a link for a manometer as well as the sniffer and stuff that I had in the description here. And it does help the channel just a little bit if you use those links. But thanks guys for coming to visit. Hopefully this will help you out if you're thinking about needing to test your rig for a propane leak. You know, if it does drop, then the challenge starts, because this is one of those tests where if there's a leak, then you know there's a leak, and if there's not, then you know there's not. But if there is, you know, you got to track it down. So you got to start at one end. You just start at the tanks, you know, go around everything with soapy water, one of these sniffer sensors, go around all those connections, see if anything's leaking, and then follow the pipe that goes all the way back through the camper, all the joints everywhere. You know, then you go to your stove, then you go to your refrigerator if you got a propane fridge, your water heater. All those have propane connections on them. So all of the points where those pipes go together and where they go on those appliances, that's where you have to check for a leak. So thanks guys for tuning in this week, and we'll be back with you next week.